Alrighty, we are live, and hopefully people are just joining. I'm gonna open up my iPad here and kind of check to see how things are going over on Facebook and YouTube. We'll start in about 2 minutes. So as you're coming in and getting situated, say hello. Feel free to leave a comment. And we'll be able to see those as you're posting. So we'll try to bring those up on screen. Let's see. So if you're new here, my name's AJ Morris. I'm the Product Innovation and Marketing Manager. I think it's my official title. And we've got Michael Moore, our Sync Pro product lead. So we'll be talking about Sync Pro here in a few minutes, and an exciting new feature that's come its way that we released yesterday that we'll be talking about. So we'll get started in just a second, just kind of doing a last check on systems and making sure that everything is up and running okay. Alrighty, well, it is the top of the hour, and we're going to go ahead and get started. So, hey, everybody, thanks for joining us today. I'm your host for this Facebook Live, AJ Morris, the Product Innovation and Marketing Manager here at iThemes. And I am joined by Michael Moore, our Sync Pro product lead, and he's going to be walking us through some of the features that we've released recently with Sync Pro. So if you've got Sync Pro questions, you're using it and you want to ask away, we can use this time as well to also ask those questions. So Michael, how are you doing today?
Doing well. How about yourself?
Not too bad, not too bad. All right. Well, to kick it off, we are here. We've got Sync Pro. Michael, talk to us about what we're going to cover today with this Sync Pro release.
Today we are going to talk about the new Site Audit feature for iThemes Sync Pro. What the Site Audit does, it taps into the Google Lighthouse API to check the quality of your web pages. So before we move any further, why don't we go ahead and just take a quick moment to talk about what Google Lighthouse is. Now, Google Lighthouse is an open source automated tool for you to use to improve the quality of your web pages. This is going to include audits specifically for your site performance, your accessibility. If you are using progressive web apps, that's available too, and your SEO. And there's some other best practices type audits that it does. Now let's talk about why you would want to check the quality of your web pages. First reason, we all, I'm sure, focus a lot on our discoverability on Google. And so the first reason is going to be to improve your search engine discoverability. So last year, Google announced that not only is your desktop web pages page load speed, but also your mobile page speed is a major part of their algorithm when it comes to ranking their web pages or their web searches. So if you can find areas on your site to improve the performance, that is going to do a whole lot for your SEO. Also, another great thing about auditing your site is to lower your bounce rate. So the average user who is on a mobile page that takes over 3 seconds to load, they're going to leave the site and give up and move away. Now, we do so much work trying to get people to find our website and land on our website. The last thing we want to do is scare them away before we've had a chance to show them anything. Another great thing about the audit is going to give you an opportunity to widen your audience. And how it does that is by checking the accessibility of your website. So improving the accessibility will allow those with disabilities to use your website and then do business with you. Another great thing about this audit that it can do for you is improve your margins. What's it? 86% of people said they are willing to pay more if the user experience is good. So if we can create a great environment for our customers, it's a great chance for us to show them our value. And another thing that you're going to gain is improved communication with your search engines. So it is all about figuring out how to manage your site in a way that search engines can understand. So they understand the content and know how to show that to users. And this next one's a big one. These next three are the security part of the best practice audit. And this next one is a big one. It's on the OWSAP top 10 list of most common web application vulnerabilities. And that is using components like JavaScript libraries with known security vulnerabilities. So what does this mean? Even if you do everything right on your website and you are using a plugin that is using third-party code, which is a common practice for WordPress and theme developers, and they're not properly maintaining those libraries, they could be introducing vulnerabilities onto your website that can be exploited by hackers. Another great check that it does is it checks to make sure that the links on your site have a safe cross-origin destination. And what that does, that helps protect your site visitors from an attacker or a hacker being able to hijack that link and send your site visitors to an unsafe location. Another great thing that it checks for is the HTTPS of pages. So the best thing you can do for your website and to protect the communication between you and your website visitors is to encrypt it with SSL. And so what is great about this check, though, doesn't just check that initial server request to see if that was served over HTTPS, but also takes a look at all the different content on that page to make sure that that all of that is also secured with SSL, which is a great thing. And another great thing about this audit is if you do pass, that means that you're going to be favored against a site that doesn't pass this audit when Google comes to ranking your website. So going to show you real quick. We're right here in the Sync dashboard. Let's go ahead and generate a site audit summary and kind of take a look at it and see what we can expect to find in it. So this is the main page of your iThemes Security Pro dashboard. Here's your site list. And what we're going to want to do is to go to one of our sites overview. And then I'm going to click on this site. And now that we're in the site overview page, we are going to want to click this new site audit tab. And from here, you have the option to generate a summary for the home page. You can generate a page summary for a specific page, load an existing report, or generate a new report. So one thing to keep in mind is that while the Google Lighthouse only allows you to check one page at a time, the improvements that you make on this page are going to affect site-wide. Affects your whole site. So for example, let's say that your check comes back with when the audit summary comes back saying that this page is using a JavaScript library with known vulnerabilities, it is very likely, since that's a front-end JavaScript, that script is going to be loaded on other pages of your website. So you identifying it there and then removing it from your website, it's going to give you the opportunity to remove it from your whole website and not just that page. So let's take a look at this report that I ran earlier today and kind of go through it chunk by chunk, just kind of see what all is in the report. So up here at the top, we are going to get our overall scores, and we can see that there's some work to be done on this website to improve its quality. Now, the great thing about this is that every single item in the audit is going to have a drop-down menu telling you more about what you can do to improve the quality of your website. So here in the performance section, the performance is going to is calculated by like the different how the different assets on a web page load and how long they take to load. So we can see one here. One of the opportunities that I have to improve this website is to serve images in a next-gen format. So this is going to reduce the size of the image, plus it will increase the page load speed. So what's awesome about these reports and these summaries is that they're all have links to the Lighthouse documentation, which is going to show you exactly what you need to do. And with this one, it's giving us a link directly to the WordPress.org repo, because it's suggesting that, hey, why don't you go and have a plugin, install a plugin that's going to automatically convert these files to these next-gen format. So anytime you load a page, you're making sure that you're not sacrificing any quality when you're doing that. So that's just an example of one way that you can really use this audit to improve the quality of your website. And as we go through this, you can see all these different areas that it checks for. And if you want to learn more about any of these particular areas, you just click these drop-down menus to find out a bit more information. And then I always like to pat myself on the back for a good job done. So at the end of these, each of these site audit categories, you're going to see everything that you're doing well. So don't forget to take this time to pat yourself on the back for a job well done. Now this next section.
Yeah.
Sorry,
Hey, Michael, before we move in here a second, I want to back up. Erica brought up a good point. When she was trying this yesterday, she kept getting an error when using the primary URL option, and she had to go switch to the page URL option and switch back. Do you maybe want to talk about those two options a second and what value they have to the user?
Yeah, I can talk about the two different options. The primary URL. I had an issue earlier today where I ran into that same error. We did file a bug report for that, and so we're taking a closer look at that. All I had to do to get it to run was to reload my page. I'm not sure if that's going to work for everyone, but we'll take a look at that too and get a fix out for that pretty soon. So the primary URL, by default, that's going to be your canonical domain or your home page. But using the page URL, you can scan a specific page. So let's say that you've created a new landing page and you have items on there that using some tools that you haven't used before. So maybe you have a new video plugin, or you're doing some graphics or animation that you haven't used in the past. So before you launch it, you can put like an AC access password on it, or some kind of password on it, because you can scan sites even when authentication is required. And what you can do is go ahead and do a quick check of it and make sure that these new things that you're doing on your website aren't affecting the quality of your pages, affecting your total load. So it allows you to experiment without worrying that you are going to make any detrimental changes.
Awesome.
Any other questions? You want to continue to the next?
No. Feel free to move on.
All right. So the next section we're going to talk about is accessibility, and so this is a big deal, because what you're like wanting to do is make sure that your website is inclusive for everyone, and not just because it's altruistic, but the more people that you are able to, the more people that are actually able to use your site in a way that they can understand, the more likely that you can gain their business, which is, it's a great thing. So let's take a look at one of the things that is pointing out on my website as far as accessibility, saying that this my site, this page failed for having bad contrast. So let's go ahead and take a look at this home page. It's even telling me which H2 it is in the text in the H2, and it's telling me exactly where I need to go to find it. So going to look at my home page. It's no shocker that I failed this bad contrast, but this is just showing you that these little things like this, the site audit's going to pick up on. I'm not a designer, and there's times that I have created a slide deck that looked good to me, and then I showed it to a designer for approval, and they're like, no one's going to be able to read that. I'm like, well, I can read that. She said, no one else is going to be able to read it. So it's a good way to make sure that there's lots of different things in here that it does check for. This is just one example of, but what I really like about it, it doesn't tell you just that it found it. It tells you what it is, and you can go to their documentation to learn more. And then it also, there are some things that it cannot check through an automatic scan. So what it does do, though, it still gives you these different things that you can actually look at to make sure that something like a screen reader, if someone's blind, something like a screen reader can make its way through your page in an orderly fashion and then share that information with the person using the screen reader in a way that they can understand. So although these the AI isn't smart enough to really check these things yet, I still like that it actually gives you these things that you can check manually to make sure that you are making your site you're giving you an opportunity to grow your site audience. And this is one thing that we talked about earlier when it comes to following web development best practices, because the better that user experience that you do create, the better people are going to feel about giving you their business. So, if you are, one of the things that drives me crazy is it does check for this in here, is whether or not you are allowing your users to paste passwords into the password field. It's a small thing that drives me crazy because it doesn't provide any security. That does not make my password any stronger. And that doesn't prevent a bot from filling out the password field either. So just small things like this that, again, create a better user experience following the web development best practices that are tried and true to give everyone a good experience. And then when they leave their site, they leave your site feeling good. Or, again, about lowering the bounce rate, the better the experience, the more likely they're going to stay on and check out more of your site. Now, we all know probably how important search engine optimization is, how it's crucial that as more and more of our businesses are moving online, that people are going to be able to find us. And so what I love about this part of the audit, it gives you actionable steps that you can take to improve your SEO. So right off the bat, we see a couple major flags here. One is that it shows that my document doesn't have a meta description, which is, if we look at this page, it will tell you exactly what a meta description is. And since we're using WordPress, we have some shortcuts that we can take, like installing an SEO plugin like Yoast, which will automatically handle a lot of this stuff for us. But this is another good example of, you have a dev site, and then you go to push your dev site live, but you forget to uncheck the discourage search engines from crawling your website option. And then the big red flag here is that Google is not allowed to crawl my website to actually create an index of it. And then when people are searching for whatever product that I'm trying to sell to people, they're not going to be able to find me. And again, here's some other things that they give you that they can't check with a automated audit, but again, they can show you how to check it manually. And again, I'll show you the past audits, the things that aren't applicable to your website, which you don't really need to worry about. But again, if you want to, the option is there to go in and learn more about all these different items that you can do when building your site, things to keep in mind to make sure that you have quality web pages that not only offer great page loads and page speeds, so people will stay on it and not leave your website. You improve the accessibility of it, so you're including widening your audience by being inclusive. And then you have your best practices, again, about creating a good experience for your site visitors. And then you have your SEO check, which is all about making sure your website is communicating properly with search engines, so your site is discoverable by people who are looking for you, because a website's not any good if people can't find you. So we're really, really excited about this, because this is going to give people an opportunity to without ever leaving their sync dashboard, going in and taking a look at these different areas and improving the quality of their pages, improving the quality of pages for their clients, and then maybe even building some services on this. So, our question for you is, please let us know here. We have a post about this on our blog that you can also go there and leave in the comments. And I'll make sure I give you my email address before we're finished today. But, how would you guys, now that you can have access to this information, your sync dashboard, how do you want to use it? Is this something that you'd like to see in your client reports? Is this something that you want to be able to have automated checks with? So, let's just say, for example, we scan your homepage once a week, and if there's any major changes in the score, we could send you a notification. So, we are putting the ball in your court to have you let us know how you want to use this tool. Because after all, at the end of the day, we make our products to make your life awesome. So we want to make sure we're building products the way you want to use them.
Yeah, and that's a great segue, Michael. While anyone joining us in the live, feel free to take Michael up on and asking any questions that you have, where you'd like to see this. It is one thing to note, though, that this is actually a tool that's built within Google Chrome. So you can run this with Google Chrome using the inspector tools or the dev tools. That Lighthouse feature is there. One thing that I really like about us including this in Sync Pro is, if I'm on my iPad, which I've started to move more and more of my daily work over to an iPad Pro, I don't have access to these types of tools on that device without going into a special browser. But here I could just load up my Sync Pro dashboard, access that site, and do a report and do an audit on it to see what comes up. So I really like that it's included right in here. The one thing I also wanted to point out, if you want to scroll up just a little bit, Michael, there is load existing summary over on the right-hand side. This will actually save these for you, so you can kind of monitor this. If you're doing some dev work and trying to find an issue with a site that you have going on, where it's maybe the site is slow and you're running the report or this audit regularly, you can kind of go back and check and see, as you're tweaking settings and whatnot on the server, how does that affect that Lighthouse summary. So I like that we've added that in here. So Michael, I don't think that we have any questions coming up yet. Do you want to move into kind of showing how maybe we could use this to fix an issue that that we see with a site on in this summary?
Yeah, sure. So one of the things that we noticed down here in the accessibility section was that contrast error. So quickly just run over to our editor real quick, and then let's just change this back to black. Good contrast is going to allow people with color blindness or just make it more readable for everyone. So we're going to go ahead and update this, and then let's go ahead and go back to our sync dashboard, and then we can generate a new report. Whoops, that's going to probably be an issue, since we'll let that finish. Okay, so since I left that blank, it just defaulted back to the regular URL. So now we can see that our accessibility score jumped up to 100. And then we know that, so let's say that right here is telling us that, shows us exactly which of these images are causing an issue on this page. Luckily for us, there's only one image on this page, but again, we can go ahead and install a plugin, but just to confirm that this is the image that is causing the issue, what we can do is let's go ahead and just remove this block for the time being, hit update, and then make sure that this is what is causing our site to slow down and dropping this performance score. And a good thing that you can do, and why I like the block editor, is that before you do that, you can save the block as a reusable block, and the reason why I say you do this is going to give you an idea of whether or not the issue is going, how much improvement you're going to have, and then you can decide how much time is worth spending on improving the score. So let's go ahead and generate a new report, and we know that we have an 89 performance score right now on this page, and then we hit generate again, and let's see what that bumps our score up to. So that bumped up to 96. We're now in the green, and knowing that, we know it's probably worth our time to go and spend the time that it takes to either, in this instance, install a new plugin to start converting all those images. And again, you're going to want to create a backup before you make any major changes in your website, especially if you're installing some new tools. So again, we can see what I do like about these reports, since it is only on a single page, it allows you to focus at a single item at a time, and then go ahead and get that immediate feedback that you need when you're trying to troubleshoot some of these issues. I know, especially with some like server side issues that I've tried to troubleshoot in the past, there might be some kind of artificial block on how often you can run the scan. This one, there's no block on that, so you get that feedback immediately, and then you can make your game plan to go in and improve those issues. So yeah, we talked about the accessibility and the performance issue, and so right now we have the SEO score of 78. So let's go ahead and jump into our our WordPress general settings, and then let's go ahead and allow the search engines to, what is that, a reading?
Yeah, it's right there under reading at the bottom.
Okay, thank you. Oh, here we go. So save changes, update. And again, now that we made the change, we can go back and get immediate feedback to see if what we did actually improves the quality of our web page. All right, and just obviously that alone, not blocking, is going to do a whole lot to improve our web pages and to address the other issues that we have. Again, it's just as simple as installing another plugin to kind of manage that for you. And the good thing about both this image audit and the SEO audit is that once we install these plugins, we're not going to worry about the issue again, because it will automatically, these plugins will automatically convert these images as they're uploaded. And Yoast does, an SEO plugin like Yoast does a great job of automating all of the adding the metadata and formatting the content in a way that is readable to a search engine.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thanks, Michael, for sharing that.
Mm-hmm.
Those demos. That's helpful to see how you can really use this audit and this summary to improve, various settings as you work through those. So, we have a few more minutes. Happy to stay longer. What are people thinking about the new Lighthouse integration with Sync Pro? And what questions do you have? We've got some time here to talk about Sync Pro, and if it's something that you've been looking at, either using or maybe you are using and you're not sure you're using full advantage of it, now's the perfect time to ask those questions. So We'll give it a few more minutes while we're here. Let me ask a question to Michael while we're doing that. What's next for Sync Pro? What are we working on next that we can kind of talk about and maybe give a little bit of a preview to the folks watching today?
One thing I can tease a little bit, don't want to jump into too many details, but one of the pain points with managing plugin and theme updates is knowing whether or not it's going to break your site, or if it did break your site. So what we're going to do is we are currently working on a way to verify that an update has completed, and then it verifies to make sure no negative changes have occurred on your site. And then if it does find something has gone awry, you're going to receive a notification to let you know what you can do or let you know that something went wrong and that you might need to take a look, instead of just not knowing about it and moving on with your day. Because you know how life can be busy, so you go ahead and run through your updates. The updates are completed, job's done, but unfortunately something went wrong on your site. So before a site visitor or customer comes complaining to you about their homepage looking wonky, you're going to know, and you're going to be able to take action on it before any negative reactions from other people.
Yeah, I know that's a much needed thing to solve for. There's always issues, especially as we get into this world of WordPress auto updates in both plugins and themes, and obviously in a production setting, you don't always typically want to have auto updates just happen. And so I like the direction that we're seeing, where you can test those out and make sure that the site isn't broke before you do those updates. So that's cool to see us add that in. All right. Well, I think we are out of questions. So I just want to thank everybody for joining us today. And Michael, I know you were wanting to be able to say, hey, where could they reach you if they have Sync Pro questions or feedback? Do you want to leave them any information or final words?
Yeah. Please feel free to email me anytime at mmoore@ithemes.com. I read every single feature request that I ever get. I don't reply to every single one, but again, we make these products for you, so we want to make sure we're making the right products. So let us know what we can do to make your life a little bit easier when it comes to security, backups, and managing multiple sites for your clients, because we are eager to help.
All righty. Well, thank you, Michael, for sharing that with us today. And from everyone here at the iThemes team, thank you for joining, and we will catch you soon. Bye.